Yes.
Welcome. We did it. We're on the internet again. Hello.
Hello.
This is Prison Moon, but it's different. I'm going to tell you how it's different. But first, a word from our spot. No.
This
Un-
episode brought to you by Orange Bubbly.
Not actually, but
Good
if
stuff.
they want to reach out
I'm not
to our
your bubbly
three viewers,
sponsorship. Every episode, I'll bring a different brand to try to get to sponsor us.
do it.
Yeah.
Or pick one. Now that's your one, and you just do it every week. You have to
Gotta bring
keep
bubbly
buying
every
that.
week.
hmm
All right. I
If
can do
they
that.
know that you're a if you're a constant buyer, maybe they'll sponsor us.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Do
So the
you guys watch
twist
Channel
is,
5?
yeah,
Do you watch Channel 5?
the
I love
Cash
how they're
App.
like actually sponsored by
Yeah,
Cash App.
yeah.
And the like integrated in Cash App, the best way to buy legal things outside of a fish concert.
God, we should do a fish discography. No,
Oh, fuck. How long is that?
I don't even want to know. I don't want to know how many albums they have, but I'm going to look right
I'm
now.
looking it up right now. Oh shit, you beat me to it.
Oh no, no, go for it. Then I'll
Um,
talk while you do it. Um,
if you're including live albums and singles, 1,068.
What? Well, oh, including singles. That's
well, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Let me see. No, well, now I
You
have
mean
to know. Now I have to know. We're already sidetracked. They have,
live albums, 661.
yeah, 661 live albums. They only have 19 studio albums, though.
Yeah, but from what I've heard, they're like
They're a live band.
studio album. Yeah, they're a live band. Their studio stuff is not as good.
Jesus Christ. um, anyways, we're not going to be talking about Fish this time. Maybe in 2 weeks
Next
if
time,
any of
though.
us listen to Fish. What?
Yeah. That's all I'm gonna listen to for the next year.
Oh man. Well, we're doing this week. You probably saw in the title. It's our show and tell episode. We're going to be doing this bi-weekly. Um,
Is that what we're calling it?
I think that's what I'm going to call it.
Okay, that works.
Prison Moon show and tell, and then I'll write the date. That makes sense to me. Um, yeah, we're talking about a couple albums individually that we've each been listening to over the past couple weeks, and just kind of sharing some music because it part of the thing with listening to one album altogether is like we get a very deep look at that one album, but it means we have a very slow rate of actually listening to music, right? We would only get to talk about 50 to 52 albums a year, right? Um so we've got, I believe I've got 3 and you each have 2, correct? That you're
correct.
Mm-hmm.
you're planning to talk about. I've
Well, I
listened.
have two, and then I have like 600 Fish albums, but
Yeah, that's true. But you haven't listened to those yet.
no.
That'll be next week. You'll have done your homework by next time.
Yes.
Um, so I guess since I have 3, I'll go first. I have also I listened to all of the albums that you two are talking about today. Um,
Oh, word.
at least to some extent. One of yours, Wyatt, I didn't listen to in full. I skimmed through it. You know which one it is.
Yeah.
But just because
The
I
Star
wanted
Wars
to.
one.
Shh. um,
Are we not putting the titles in the
no, but
description?
the covers will probably be in the thumbnail. I'll figure something
Okay.
out. Anyways, yeah, I'll go first. The one that I have a lot to say about this one, but I'm saving a lot of it because we're gonna talk about it later. Spoilers. I listened to Strawberry Jam by Animal Collective a whole lot this week. Uh,
Nice.
that album slaps.
Album?
That is, it might be my favorite Animal Collective album. It's really good. um,
Respect.
yeah, I think it's, if not, it's tied with Spirit They're Gone, the first album. But it just it goes so hard. It's like it feels like the perfect blend of like their synth poppy stuff that they do after this, like on Merryweather. I haven't actually heard the 2 albums after that, but it sounds like a blend of like their Merryweather stuff, the kind of like freakier, more vocal heavy stuff on Sung Tongs, and then like the kind of ambient, like cyclical stuff that was going on Feels. It comes together as probably the most how do I put
I'd
this?
say
Like
Merryweather leans more to the ambient than Feels.
Kind of. I think Feels has like ambient in a different sense. You know what I mean? It's a lot more drawn out. It takes a lot longer with its compositions.
Okay.
And I think that altogether it just feels like this record, Strawberry Jam, is the most definitive picture of what Animal Collective is, I think.
It's very much like halfway between.
Well, yeah, it's a
2
mixture
points.
of everything, kind of.
Yeah.
The vocals here are some of the best that have ever come out of the group. And after listening to Pet Sounds a whole bunch last week, it's really easy to see like the direct lineage there with like the vocal harmonies and that kind of thing, the kind of the backing vocals and all that. There's a lot of
Actually, I
there's a
forgot to
very clear
mention
through
last
line.
week. I forgot to mention last week, but Panda Bear's person pitch is named after Pet Sounds.
Oh, that took me a second.
Yeah, that's where he got the name. So yes, very big influence.
There's
on
definitely a
Animal Collective.
lineage there. The instrumentals are all still like very noisy, but it doesn't distract, I think, from how approachable like the record on the whole is as like an overall package, like with the songwriting as well. There's tons of amazing hooks. Fucking Winter Wonderland is maybe my favorite Animal Collective song now. That
I
and
figured you were talking about it a lot this week.
it's
You were
real.
talking
It's so
about it a lot
good.
this week.
It's the kind of thing where like the first time I listened to it, I was like, this slaps, and then like anytime after that, I like kind of forget about it, and then it comes on again. I'm like, yeah! That song's so good. I assume Wyatt, you haven't listened to that one yet, right? The Strawberry Jam.
I have not.
Okay. Do that.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, it's real good. And then also the track for Reverend Green in the back half has like the vocals kind of get more and more intense as it goes on, and it's just like full screaming by the end. It's awesome. Both of those are probably like top 5 Animal Collective songs for me at this point. As well, like the opener Peace Bone is one of the best openers they've done so far. Fireworks and Number One are also really great highlights. Yeah, just amazing album that I'm saving a little bit more on because I don't think we've said this on the show, but we're gonna be talking about their whole discography in one episode at some point next month. And so I'll save some of my thoughts for that, but yeah, absolutely.
Is the new album to come out? Oh,
Yeah,
that's in like a week.
Yeah, that's next week.
Yeah, okay.
We'll do it after the new album, yeah. All right. Who wants to go next? Who has an album they want to share?
I nominate Peter.
All right, go for it.
All right. First one I'm gonna do, which I talked with Nathan about a little bit, is Frank Ocean's Channel Orange.
Banger.
Banger, classic. This is his first studio album.
Nostalgia Ultra was before that, right? The mixtape?
I think so. Hang on. Yes, 2011. This is 2012. Yes, this is the first of 3 studio albums. He's not the most prolific artist, but the stuff he does put out is spotless. You can tell he's really like a perfectionist when it comes to his music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this thing holds up really well. I think like as an early 2010s piece, you can hear a lot of its influence in like later 2010 stuff. Um, just yeah, the way he does, um, I guess R&B is like Frank's his own thing. Nobody else does it like this.
Yeah.
You got a ton of great tracks on here. Let's see, Thinking About You, Fertilizer, um, Pyramids, which I talked to Nathan about a little bit.
That song slaps. That song. I
Maybe
said this
his
to
perfect
Peter.
song? Yeah.
Maybe I said this to Peter earlier today, but last night when I was listening to this record, I was listening to it kind of like I had Spotify minimized and whatever. I wasn't looking at what tracks were popping up, and I was like, "What song is this?" And then I went to look, and I was like, "There's still 6 minutes left. Let's go!" Like, yeah, no, that song's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that like thick synth of like
That's exactly when I checked what what song this was.
Yeah, yeah. And then like the whole bridge is like really drawn out, like working at the pyramid. And then it goes back into the main hook, just
It's
fantastic.
so good.
And then it's followed by Lost, which is also really, really catchy.
Is that his biggest single? Yeah. No, Pink and White's bigger.
The biggest single off of Channel Orange?
Off of Channel Orange it is, yeah, for sure. I meant in general, but yeah.
Mm. Doesn't he have a line on here like a best song wasn't a single?
I forget which song that was off of, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's in this first half anyway. But yeah, this thing's like almost an hour long, and honestly, kind of just flies by when you listen to it. Like it doesn't feel like a full hour.
Yeah.
You get some great features. Who's on the Earl Sweatshirt, Andre 3000.
That Andre feature especially is real good. The John Mayer guitar as well on White. Yeah, no, I really like this era, or like this was kind of the beginning of the dissolution of Odd Future, right? Like everyone was kind of starting off on their own with like Tyler the Creator did was this the year that Bastard came out? I forget. And then like Earl Sweatshirt a little while after, and you can tell like Frank Ocean.
Those three did like really well for themselves.
Oh yeah, no one else remembers anyone else from Odd Future, but yeah, no, it's really awesome hearing this Earl Sweatshirt feature this close to the dissolution of Odd Future, because like you can tell Frank and Earl have worked together, like the way that they work together so well on this track.
Kind of related to your album, Nathan, there's a really good picture of Animal Collective meeting Odd Future.
Of course,
and
there
like
is.
Avian Geologist are like straight faced, and Panda's like fanboying the fuck out.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 17 tracks, but I don't think any of them like feel superfluous here. Like, great flow, lots of bangers.
It flows so well sometimes that I would peek back at the track list and I was like, the last song that I remember seeing the name of was like 6 songs ago. Like, how did this even happen?
You don't even notice that the song changed.
Yeah. Yeah, I also like, so I haven't heard Endless. I'd only heard Blonde before.
Endless is pretty good. You should watch the visual that goes with it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd heard Blonde, and I love Blonde, and I heard this after, and I think my thoughts kind of on the two together is I think like Blonde is doing a lot more, especially just conceptually, like it's telling a much more engaging and like it has a lot more intent behind its story and what it's trying to do.
I feel like Blonde is a lot more like personal, emotional, and this one's kind of like political,
and this
it's
one
talking about like societal issues and shit.
Yeah, well, this one is also just like it's fun. Like like Blonde is a very sad
Yeah.
album. It has
Oh,
some
yeah.
big bangers on there, but it feels a lot more just kind of like on purpose. It sounds fractured, right? It is about kind of putting together the pieces of this relationship. So it sounds a lot more fractured, and I would say it's just a lot less fun to listen to, even though I think it's probably the better album. Um this is just like, it's super quality vocals and production. Frank's voice is amazing, but that's like the coldest take. Um and it's just fun from front to back. There's nothing. Yeah.
Why? Do you have any Frank Ocean experience?
You're muted, I think.
Yes,
Oh.
I was. Am I good? Okay. Yeah, I think I've heard some of his music, but I actually can't be sure.
Okay, so you've probably heard like the big songs.
Probably.
Someday we'll
Okay.
cover an
We
album.
we could do a Frank Ocean discography pretty easily.
I mean, yeah, that's 3 albums in one mixtape, so yeah. Wyatt, tell us one of your albums.
Yeah, we'll start with the more traditional project, which is Lil Nas X's Montero,
That's
which
good.
released last year and is one of my favorites from that year, um, and continuing into this year as well. And I felt kind of sad that I never got a proper outlet to discuss it at all when it dropped last year, because even throughout the year as the singles were dropping, it was really an anticipated project of mine, just because, you know, the classic Old Town Road, everything leading up to it, it's all bangers, even though they're kind of meme songs a lot of the time as well. But yeah, I this album's awesome. It slaps. I think it's like just under 42 minutes, and you know, almost no filler. There are a couple tracks that I maybe skip when I'm listening through it, but for the most part, there are it's a really strong like concept piece about recognizing your own identity with like rapidly being shoved into the spotlight. Not any new themes to the podcast. We've seen albums talking about like fame and infamy and all these different things before, but I just
but
think
this is a more current one.
it's more current, and I think
Yeah, like he blew up what, like 3 years ago?
yeah, and then this is his debut album.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, and I think he provides a very unique voice onto these well tread waters, but
I
yeah,
just
it's
realized I was muted.
yeah, I saw you trying to speak. What's up?
I was agreeing with you.
Oh yeah, um this album also has a lot of like uh sick like features on it. Elton John, Miley Cyrus, Megan Thee Stallion.
What's the Elton John track?
That's One of Me, which is one of my favorites.
One of me favorites.
One of me
One of
favorites.
me.
um
Would I have heard
It's a
that on the
Doja
radio?
Cat
Maybe.
feature.
The Doja Cat feature is on Scoop in one of the
Okay,
tracks
okay.
that I tend to skip.
Oh. Are you not a Doja Cat fan?
I am. I like Doja Cat's music. Just
Just
don't get,
that track?
just yeah, not my track.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I just going through some of like the singles. I don't think you would have heard One of Me on the radio.
You've obviously heard Montero. You've definitely heard Industry Baby.
Oh yeah.
Industry Baby, yeah, that was
Oh, yeah.
huge.
I think Sun Goes Down is one that was dropped.
Sun Goes Down was
early
one
on.
of my favorites. I didn't get a chance to listen to it
I
like
think I have heard that, yeah.
in the past
Yeah.
couple days, but I've heard it before. Like I
That
listened
was-
to it last year when it dropped.
Yeah, I think that was prior to the album's release, one of the more intriguing releases from Lil Nas X, because it has a very different vibe from everything he had done at that point.
Sun Goes Down is the one where he gets like pretty introspective, right? Like
yeah, everything slows down. It's a little more of like a somber tone to it. Very almost SoundCloud-esque in the way that it's reflective on the same themes present throughout the album. But It's far less out of place among the track listing to this album as it was his singles
As
releases.
just a
at
single,
the
yeah.
time. Yeah, because "Am I Dreaming" with Miley Cyrus, I believe, is another more introspective, somber one. One of Me, I think "Dead Right Now," if I'm remembering that one correctly, or maybe that's more of a hype track. I don't remember. Let me give it a quick listen. Yeah, kind of middle of the road there. Um,
Apparently, he's got exactly 6,000 reviews or 6,000 ratings for this album on Rate Your Music.
All right,
Oh.
no one rate it, or 666 more people rate it.
Yeah, I'll be one of those.
That kind of brings to mind one of the more interesting things about this album, which is the controversy that it stirred leading up to release, specifically with Montero or "Call Me by Your Name," the two titles of the lead track, which of course appropriated a lot of biblical imagery on top of fetish imagery as well,
and like satanic imagery.
satanic stuff. Yeah, all fun stuff. Great mashup, but not something everybody cares for, I suppose.
No,
I mean,
cowards don't care for it.
Cowards, true. Cowards, homophobes, those kind of people that we don't care for too much. There was something with a sneaker with blood in it as well.
Yeah,
if I recall correctly.
What was that about?
Something about selling a Nike that was like custom made and had a drop.
It was like his blood, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that was the case. Yeah. Didn't Nike sue him, or did someone sue Nike?
Yeah. I think Nike was like, "What the hell are you doing?" Because they were advertising it as the Nike with blood, as if it was some kind of partnership.
Right.
But it was a edited, modified Nike. Although the concept of that as like a marketing tactic ties very well into the themes of the album, I think, because of course the album's called Montero, which is Lil Nas X's real name, and that's also the opening track. And when you have so many of these tracks about like the artistic process, your identity before and after you come into fame, I think this album speaks a lot to like the way your very personhood becomes a commodity as a celebrity, which applies in the sense that Lil Nas X's actual blood is being sold as part of a branded product, so I think there's a lot of like cool conceptual work at play in this album, on top of it just like sounding really great for the most part. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite releases from last year.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm not the hugest Lil Nas X fan, like musically, but I follow him on Twitter, and he's got some banging tweets.
He's cool.
Oh yeah,
like he's always showing homophobes on Twitter.
Yeah.
As you do.
And like he just like shares this memes. Duty. Like he seems a lot more like
just a dude
on the pulse, and like like actually in touch with meme culture and like young people, whereas a lot of artists you can feel that they're trying too hard.
Yeah.
He feels authentic online, is what I'm trying to say.
He's a dude who made a song that got big. Like that's kind of just like the vibe I get.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Now he's running with it. I'm glad he's not just like a one-hit wonder, that he actually has like success now.
Yeah, for sure.
It wasn't just like Old Town Road and then he disappeared.
Yeah, although it took people a long time to kind of realize that, even though he dropped Old Town Road, and then he dropped Panini, which was big, and then he dropped Montero, and then people were like kind of starting to see it, and then he dropped Industry Baby, and then like now I think it's pretty established that he's not a one-hit wonder, but it took like 3 hits for people to realize it's not a one-hit wonder.
Right. Yeah. I think also just kind of took so long for like a full album to drop.
Yeah.
And that's all topics being covered in this album too, is how long the album took, and this idea that he is a one-hit wonder as well, and confronting that.
Megan Thee Stallion's on this too.
Yeah. There were actually some singles in between Panini and Montero, but they're sadly a little underrated, even though I think they're all.
I heard the Christmas song he did. That was pretty good.
I didn't hear that.
I didn't care for that one as much.
You didn't care for that one? Okay. I mean, it wasn't like a great song, but I thought it was fun.
I like Rodeo a lot.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Right,
Rodeo.
I forgot about.
Yeah. Rodeo's fun. It reminds me of like the track Kid Cudi did for the Fright Night remake.
Oh god.
I don't know.
I haven't heard that, but
It's okay.
I can imagine what that's like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like of all the people, you would be the one to know that Wyatt. You would be the one to make that comparison.
It's a good track from a pretty good movie.
It's very on brand, I will say. I gotta, yeah. All right.
That's about all I
Right.
have to say now. We can pass it along.
All right. So
Okay,
I've got
Nathan. You have a second album.
so my second album. I'm certain none of you listen to this. It is from an artist called 999 Heartache SABILEYE, called A Boy Named HEXD.
Yes, I remember the album cover was really sick, and I wanted to check it out. But you really insisted I listen to the other one.
Yeah.
So
I
you're
think
gonna
I
talk
made the
about-
right call on which
Yeah,
one
instead, yeah.
if you had to listen to just one. But yeah, do either of you know about the genre HEXD?
No.
Was there some? There might have been some like music book discussion around it.
I think
That
I
I
might
caught
have been
wind
the
of.
one to make that post actually. Maybe not. But so HEXD is a genre that not enough people are talking about. I think the way I would describe it is, it's like if you took like instrumental trap and pop and like classic sample flipping and then filtered it through like a million layers of bit crushing that creates kind of like this disorienting, almost like shoegazy effect. It's super noisy and it's super blown out, and it's like you're listening to JPEG Mafia beats recorded on a DSi microphone and then played through a Gen 2 iPod Touch as speakers in a cave.
I'm looking at some of the top albums on Rate Your Music.
The album
for
covers
genre.
always rule.
Yeah, and they've got weird titles too.
Mm-hmm.
Like Arcana Infernum Hexaderbich, but like half of the vowels are replaced with X's.
Yeah.
Classic _ project _ 2000.
Yeah, it's real exciting stuff. And so there's very little even within the genre that I've heard that sounds quite like this album, A Boy Named HEXD. It's totally indulgent, and it's this really like extravagant demonstration of just kind of like compositional mastery with the most intentionally dog shit production imaginable. And it's like nostalgic in a way to hear like
It's on purpose, right?
yeah, like it's
Okay.
intentionally bit crushed to like
I'll let it
24
slide.
kilobytes a second or something, like and it's like nostalgic in a way to hear a whole bunch of excellent tracks played just with such low audio quality. There's like this reverby haze that your own imagination has to kind of fill in the blanks and draw your own world kind of. I listen to it and I picture just like sitting in the living room on the family computer listening to like anime AMVs. And like
Would you say this is an album you'd have to download off of like LimeWire?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The music it's sampling from also definitely helps my case there. A large majority is either like from that era or uses a lot of techniques inherent to that era, notably nightcore. The album starts, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to quote unquote spoil this, but I think saying this will like sell people on this album. The album starts with a sample from The Glow Part 2 by the Microphones, like one of the most emotional parts of that record.
I know that one.
Disgustingly pitch shifted up, and then just like loops into itself over like this just banging trap beat, and there's just like this like sampled rapping that I can't distinguish any of the words, so I can't even like search who it is or anything.
Is there like a list of all the samples somewhere?
Not that I can find.
Oh.
And it's just like, it's so funny, but it actually goes hard. the and there's like these like synthetic tones and a whole bunch of hazy distortion. There's, I think, the third track called "Why Is This Even Bit Crushed?" Lol, is another amazing one. Maybe one of my favorites. It's only like a minute long, but it like completely recontextualizes Taylor Swift's classic single "Enchanted," and it turns it into this like blown out and extravagant like arena trap rager. Like it's only there for like 1 minute, but in that minute it's just like firing on all cylinders. And then as it ends, it just like gives way to this, like, the next track, which is called SoundCloud, which starts off as like it sounds like one of the like somber piano cuts on one of the Silent Hill soundtracks. Oh my god, there are kids yelling in the background. But it
I
gives...
wonder if that was outside my place or your place.
No, that's mine.
Okay.
But it gives way fairly quickly to like this super, like, it sounds like a Super Nintendo ass like trap beat. It sounds like it's like on that sound card, and then there's just this like grinding bass melody, and it just rules. And then all of this, of course, is drenched in like requisite reverb and like that 24 kilobytes a second bit rate or whatever, to just really, it makes it something totally unique sonically and like kind of emotionally. Also, I think, looking at the track list now, I think my favorite track is it's called Online Third Impact Hype Incarnate. And it just sounds like
titles, at least.
it sounds like a Lost JPEG Mafia beat. Like straight up, right down to they sample a rapper who is like pitched and sped up to sound exactly like Peggy, and it's still crushed enough that I still can't tell what he's saying. But
Did they do that on purpose?
It's uncanny. It has to be.
Oh.
Like, I almost wish it wasn't bit crushed so I could like decipher what he's saying and figure out who it is, because it goes so hard and I want to know like who did that verse. But yeah, no, it's excellent. It comes to a head at the end in like this massive noisy and really like powerful closer that it feels like physically being blown away. Like, and it leaves you at the end. There's just like this weird like breathy noise section after the climax that kind of just like eases you back out. And yeah, it's a really phenomenal record, and it definitely stands as like one of my favorites of the year so far. This dropped, I think it was on January 1st that this dropped. If not, it was the first week of January.
Which is actually saying a lot, because you've heard like 50 albums from this year, right?
Yeah, I've heard like, I think that might be the number. 53 actually. 53 records.
Impressive.
So yeah, this one goes hard. Check it out. The album cover also slaps.
Yeah, it looks like they made a PlayStation game out of Slint.
Yeah. Let me I'm just gonna pull up the thing, and I can throw it on screen now that we have video. But here's the Bandcamp page. You guys can't see it obviously, but I'm just showing the video here.
You can do a screen share.
Well, that's too much effort.
It's one button.
Shut up. Anyways, Peter, what's your other album?
Yes. My other album is Busdriver's 2014 Perfect Hair.
Yeah.
Busdriver is, I don't know if I'd say he's one of the biggest, but he's definitely like well known in the experimental abstract hip hop scene. I've actually heard a lot of Busdriver hate from experimental hip hop fans.
All my homies love bus drivers.
Thank the bus driver.
Don't it feel good to drive a bus? Which I kind of get. I've heard a few of his albums, and
not all of them are as good as.
Not all of them are as good. This one I really like. Perfect Hair. I actually discovered Busdriver through, believe it or not, the Animal Collective subreddit. Um,
Now, what
You
were
really
doing
like
earlier?
you cannot have an album that you like that doesn't have like some tie to Animal
the,
Collective. Like even the Frank Ocean
no,
album, you had like an Animal Collective
there's
anecdote.
yeah, he did a hip hop cover of Leaf House
God.
with sock puppets. It's pretty good. It's not on this album though. That's an aside. Um, but yeah, just like the way um big points on the production here. Um, I love his production. He's really like self-aware too. There's a lot of lyrics like on the first track. He's just like listing how much everything costs, like studio time and backup vocals, and like that's just like the intro to the album is him listing how much it costs.
And it's like 3 minutes long. Like he's going through all of it. Like
Yeah, yeah. Um, you got some killer features. You got fucking Danny Brown, Open Mike Eagle,
Aesop Rock.
Aesop Rocks on here. Um, Verbies, I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's a good name. Um, one thing I will say, it might be a little bit front heavy. I feel like the first half is stronger than the second half.
I think it grew on me as it went on actually.
Really?
I was a little, I don't want to say I was like cold on it at the beginning. I really liked especially the track Ego Death with Aesop Rock and Danny Brown.
Yeah, Ego Death is probably the best track.
Ego Death
Easy.
goes really hard. I
know
felt
what you're saying,
like
but is it sexier than torture?
I think I was kind of just like okay on it until Ego Death. Ego Death went hard, and then like the next couple tracks kind of felt like they were just living in the shadow of Ego Death, and it took a couple tracks for me to get back into it. You know,
Yeah.
I think the way that I would describe Busdriver's rapping, this is all I could think of when I was listening, was like this is a mix of like, it sounds like LP in Danny Brown mode, if that if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Am I?
One thing I notice he does a lot is he'll draw out a syllable and then he'll just like spit like 7 words.
Mm.
So he'll like change his pace really irregularly. And I mean this whole like yeah, like the first genre that's listed on Rate Your Music is abstract hip hop.
Mm.
So he does like playing around with like irregular beats and yeah, almost like a more like scat influenced style. He's saying actual words, but just like the rhythm of it. You know what I'm talking about, Nathan.
He's got a lot of melody to all of his rapping as well. Like it's never like monotone. He's never not also making a melody to go with his beats.
Yeah. Sort of like that. Eat the Rich is also a standout track.
Mm.
Actually, wait, it's just called Eat Rich. Sorry.
Hello,
The
cat.
line is, "I'm so hungry, man, I could eat the rich." Oh, you got a cute cat.
Yeah.
What's your cat's name, Wyatt?
Flounder.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't like to be-
Flounder. Damn, you get a cat a fish name?
He came with it actually.
It's almost cruel.
My partner's a marine scientist, so we thought it was fitting.
Oh, I see.
Sorry.
But yeah, out of the Busdriver albums I have heard, the only one that might top this one is Fear of a Black Tangent from 2005. So Nathan, if you like this, also worth checking that out.
I haven't heard anything about Fear of a Black Tangent. I didn't know. Yeah, no. Out of the probably 100 people at this point I'm following on Rate Your Music, one person has rated Fear of a Black Tangent, so I would not have checked it out unless you had mentioned it here. So
Apparently I haven't rated it either, but
you have not. Yeah, no, I think there were a few times where Busdriver's like inflection kind of like it seems a little over extravagant sometimes.
yeah, he's indulgent.
Yeah, it's a very indulgent project, but
He's
he
a little
does
bit
have
pretentious about like.
for sure, but he does
Yes.
have the talent to back it up. So it was never like annoying to me. I just wasn't always fully like vibing with every aspect of it. But
Yeah, that's
like
fair.
he definitely has the skill to back it up, and the instrumentals were great. And yeah, there were a lot of I wasn't able to like I was doing something else. I was script writing while I listened to this, which don't script write while you're listening to hip hop because one or the other is sacrificed. Like you can't do both.
I don't know
But
how you can write while listening to music with lyrics. I just,
That sounds impossible.
yeah, my brain just bounces between the two.
I
I
couldn't
need to have
read like that either.
instrumental or nothing.
I've just gotten used to it, I guess.
Brain is broken. You listen to 53 albums and it's not even January. Like,
53
end of
albums
January.
from 2022,
I know,
by
I
the
know.
way.
It would be ridiculous anyway.
Wait, I need to check now. How many albums have I listened to
God.
this year? You've brought this up. 130. Yeah.
I think my mic picked up my whistle, but okay.
Yeah. Anyways, do you have any other things to say about your album?
Yeah, that was about it. It's it's solid kind of abstract hip hop. I'd put it maybe like halfway between like what would I compare this to? Maybe like halfway between like Milo and like early clipping or something. Like it's not quite as heavy as clipping and it's not quite as like jazzy as Milo.
Interesting. Okay.
We should-
Am I
we should
remembering
cut
this correctly?
At some
Milo.
point though.
Hmm?
We should cover Milo at some point though.
We should cover clipping at some point too.
Who I think goes by a different name now.
Yeah, that's R.A.P. Ferreira, right? They're the same person.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Just making sure we're talking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We should cover clipping at some point. Is there any
Also that.
Is there a particular reason that you like came back to this week, or was that just like did it just pop up and you spun it?
Did it just pop up? What was I doing this week? I was on my way to the bus stop and I think I wanted to re-listen to his Leaf House cover actually. And
Nice.
And then I just went into his albums after, yeah.
Fair. I'm just curious because like
there's like a weird thing because that Leaf House cover is on Spotify. It's like part of a single, so it's 2 tracks, but they're labeled incorrectly.
wait so so the song that isn't Leaf House is labeled as Leaf House, and the song that is Leaf House is labeled as the other. Why?
Which is why I was confused. So I clicked on Leaf House, which shows like Busdriver cover, and then I was waiting for it. I'm like, okay, I guess there's like an intro on this. And then it was an entire track, and then it played the next one, which I
And then
forget
that was
the-
Leaf House.
That was actually Leaf House, yeah.
That's wild. That's weird. That's the equivalent of like you get a record and the labels are swapped, but like it's on Spotify.
Yeah.
God. All right. Wyatt, your other album. Oh, I found
Collection
it.
of sounds.
Yes. So the other thing I've been listening to in this last week is the soundtrack to the
Nice.
soundtrack to the TV show, The Book of Boba Fett,
Yeah.
the most recent live-action Star Wars project. Soundtrack was scored by Joseph Shirley and Ludwig Goransson, I think is how you would say that. Swedish composer who also did the score for The Mandalorian, and a lot of like blockbuster projects recently. I think the first I heard of him was he scored Black Panther.
Okay. Does that have a
He did
pretty good
Tenet.
score?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Apparently,
What's that?
Tenet
Yeah.
has a good score. He did Tenet.
Yeah. There's a good thing about Tenet.
Apparently that.
I haven't seen Tenet yet.
Oh no, he
I
did
just-
Venom.
I
Never
just-
mind, he's off
The
the.
sound mixing was
Venom
bad.
has a banger soundtrack.
Venom has an okay soundtrack and terrible.
Did he also do Venom Carnage?
No, or
Okay.
if he has, that soundtrack hasn't been released.
He's been busy with Boba.
Yeah.
Me when I'm busy with Booba.
Yeah. So yeah, Ludwig Goransson is who I want to more focus on because I don't know so much about Joseph Shirley, but he is one of a small handful of composers with the impossible task of adding to the musical framework established by John Williams, which is,
A fact to follow.
say what you will about Star Wars or anything else he's worked on, but like the music produced by John Williams is some of the most iconic compositions ever. And I think
I've heard a couple of John Williams scores I didn't really
Yeah.
care for.
yeah, that's fair. But
Home Alone 2 was kind of mid.
that's
Home Alone 1 though.
That's a different story.
But yeah, so yeah, this impossible task of living up to probably the most iconic living film composer, while staying true to that texture that music has, but also branching out in a unique way, which I think he did exceptionally well with The Mandalorian, and then had to do again for this current show, of saying like, oh hey, you did a fantastic job, you made a very iconic suite of Star Wars music, now do it again but different also. So the Mandalorian score had kind of this Western influence over most of it, but I still have trouble describing the sound of the Book of Boba Fett, but it is.
I listened to a bit of it.
Yeah.
I listened to a few tracks in full, and I like skimmed at least every track. It
Did you
definitely
check
still
out the last track.
Yeah, the last track is the
theme music.
the theme. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the whole, it still feels very like Western influenced. A lot of it,
But of a different kind.
of a different kind. It's a lot darker.
Yeah.
I
There's a
mean,
lot more.
isn't the whole concept for the show he's like the new sheriff in town?
Uh,
Like he's kind of like taking over this like crime lord position.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, that's
I still have to watch it, but I've heard a few things.
Yeah. So you have this situation where the show exists as essentially a third season for Mandalorian. It's filling on same slot, but it's also like this like resurrection of what many people consider like an iconic Star Wars character, and to a lot of people is their favorites. Boba Fett's kind of mid, in my opinion, but that's my hot take.
Hot take.
Yeah. Although I am liking the show so far, but yeah, he's also a character who doesn't have very much of a musical identity in a franchise where characters having a musical identity is like half of the franchise.
Did he not have like a motif in Clone Wars?
I don't. In Clone Wars, maybe he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that potentially. I'd have to go back and rewatch that stuff, but he's
You
a
and
far more
rewatching
evolved
Clone
character.
Wars is not a difficult task though.
Yeah.
It is time consuming though.
But yeah, this is a show, without getting into like spoilers for anybody, like it's set largely on Tatooine, and deals a lot with the flora
I'm not gonna
and
watch it, then
fauna
it's
and
fine.
culture of Tatooine.
I hate sand.
Oh yeah, it's very coarse.
I'm just gonna not. See, you get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a very interesting soundtrack, I think, because it is. Yeah, it still has those kind of Western elements to it, which is befitting a show that takes place largely in a desert, where there's this new sheriff in town kind of premise to it. But at the same time, I don't know. There are certain tracks on here. Nathan, did you listen to? I'm trying to get the name of it here. It's not in English, so I'm gonna do my best. Alit Ori Shaya Taldin.
I don't remember it, but
Yeah. that one kind of, it's a longer track and it has certain movements to it. You know, it incorporates aspects of Boba's theme itself, but also goes really heavy into like the choir, the vocal elements that is prevalent throughout this soundtrack. And to me, the closest parallel, because I'm uncultured and don't pay attention to much music.
Duel of the Fates?
No, it actually
Oh.
has like shades of Bear McCreary's score for God of War 2018. Just a little bit, a little sprinkle. Some of the stuff, like the Lullaby for the Giants, I think, that motif in that score.
I don't know, but that's a good title.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a great soundtrack. Also,
I gotta say,
I'll talk about it sometime.
Talking about all like this like Western movie influence. Also, I just found out right now, because you said that you described John Williams as the most iconic living composer, and I had to go check, and unfortunately, I just found out
Is it
that
Hans Zimmer?
no, that Ennio
Oh.
Morricone passed away in 2020. I did not know that.
Oh.
That's
Rip.
the guy who did the
Yeah.
all of the classic Western ones.
Like
Good,
the
Bad, and the
Sergio Leone
Ugly.
ones.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars, all of it. Also, The Thing.
Right. Oh god, I love that score.
I thought John Carpenter did the thing.
You would
Night.
think, because he does so much of his own stuff, but no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
like, yeah, Once Upon a Time in the West. Yeah, all of that shit. So, anyways,
Rest in peace to a legend. I'm sorry to hear
straight
that.
up, like,
Yeah.
Rango? Did he do Rango?
did he do Rango? Hold on.
The lizard movie.
I doubt
wouldn't
it.
be
I
surprised.
doubt it, but I have to
Legend.
check now.
Absolute legend if he did.
He did not do Rango.
Aw.
But yeah, there's Star Wars is a diverse franchise with a lot of sounds to it that is ever expanding, and I think this soundtrack does a really good job of furthering that expansion, while also just being neat and having a lot of stuff. There's the track Road Rage, which in the show involves some characters who have like cybernetic implants and stuff.
That
there's a
track
lot of,
went
like-
hard. I remember that track.
So there's a lot of like techno on the track, which is still a new
Interesting.
sound to Star Wars. It's not
Yeah.
completely foreign. In Goransson's score for Mandalorian season 2, you had these robotic characters called Dark Troopers that almost had like dubstep for their score.
Nice.
Very
Nice.
just light dubstep.
God.
And it slapped too.
Wubstep.
Wubstep, yeah.
Is that... So I haven't seen the show either. Is the Ultimate Boon almost like the equivalent of a Mos Eisley Cantina?
Let me give that one another listen real quick.
The Ultimate Boon is the track that... Not the Ultimate Boon, what am I talking about? The Mod Parlor. Sorry.
Come on.
Mod Parlor.
The Mod
That-
Parlor.
That does sound like a Cantina-esque thing.
That's
Is
what
it-
I'm saying.
Is
And it features
it a
Thundercat.
jizz track?
It features sorry?
Thundercat. Thundercat's on that track.
Yeah, and Thundercat is also the character in the scene.
Amazing.
He
Yeah,
plays
I've seen some pictures of his character.
he plays a dude who gives people cybernetic modifications, and the parlor is where he does this.
Beautiful.
But
Yeah.
I haven't seen the show or heard the soundtrack. My question about the track, if it takes place in the cantina, is it a jizz track?
It's not jizz, and it's not quite a cantina either. The closest parallel I could say is like a tattoo shop.
Oh, okay,
Is
nice.
the vibe in there? Yeah,
That checks out. Yeah.
So it's that kind of parlor. It's not like
Yeah.
parlor tricks.
Yeah.
yeah.
The only other track that I remember that I listened to all the way through, Boba's Throne goes hard.
Boba's Throne. Yeah, that's a good one. It's also the album art, I suppose.
That's true.
of
I think,
Boba on it, so.
I think I generally think the from what I've heard, the title track, the main theme is maybe the weakest one.
So I was watching the show with my partner, and we had just finished both seasons of The Mandalorian, which of course has a very killer score, and we were kind of like mixed on our feelings of the main theme at first. I've really started to come around to it. I think it's really good and even perhaps on par with the Mandalorian's theme.
I didn't watch or listen to any of the music from Mandalorian, so I don't know. I have no
do
context
yourself a
there.
favor.
It's a pretty good show.
Okay.
It's got a great score
Yeah.
too. Very very earwormy, the theme for that show, and I would call the Book of Boba Fett's that as well. Or maybe I'm just like a weird Star Wars freak and I just play the
You are
themes of
that.
show all the time.
Which
I am that. When show and tell progresses to outside of music.
Yeah, every
just
2
wait.
weeks there'll be a new Star
Oh
Wars.
no. Show and tell progresses outside of music, and suddenly we're just talking about Star Wars every week.
Mhm.
This is exactly what you planned for.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a soundtrack album, so it's not like it's an incomplete work of art on its own. So of course there's not too much to say about it as a standalone product, but I will just say with a franchise that where music is so important to its identity, I think it's worth talking about how this plays with that identity, evolves it, tries to manifest some new ideas, and I think it's very successful at doing all that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, the last album that I brought for today is an album by an artist called McKinley Dixon, and it's called For My
Yes.
Mama and Anyone Who Looked Like Her. You listen to this one,
Apparently-
Peter.
Which apparently is us. We look like
Nope.
Mama.
What was that?
So
Yeah, I heard this one today.
yeah, what did you think?
Yes. I mean, apparently did not like it as much as you did. I thought it was some solid like jazz rap. Great instrumentals, good flow. Really got me like pumped to clean my kitchen. So when music can do that, it's got to be at least halfway decent, you know?
Yeah, so I'll say right now, I put this way too low on my album of the year list last year. And like that's in part because I found it so late. But like in the month since I put out that video, this has definitely become one of my favorite hip hop releases in recent years. There's
I mean, we still haven't done our end of year video, so
That's true. Are we still gonna do that?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, last year we just did a like audio only, like
Yeah.
2 hours of talking
That was
about
like
albums.
3 hours. That was long.
That was more than 2.
Yeah, so I think there's an anecdote I like to use pretty often about jazz rap to describe this record. I think that like historically a lot of jazz rap does a lot of excellent work to capture like the aesthetics and the cultural legacy of jazz music. You think about like that Tribe Called Quest record we covered. Really, like, it felt like you were kind of in a jazz club, and like lyrically it was touching on a lot of themes that were like in direct lineage to what jazz musicians of decades prior were talking about or were making music about. The thing there though is a lot of that music still, I think, doesn't have many of the actual compositional elements that make jazz what it is. Like at the end of the day, a lot of that is just jazz samples constrained to a 4/4 looped beat, and like those all sound excellent. They're great beats, but and I don't want to like discredit the classics, but I feel like a facet of jazz just isn't often being explored as much as it could be.
Yeah, like you need the progression and like the improvisation.
Well, yeah,
and
exactly. And like with all that
more
prefacing,
more
like
freedom of the genre. Yeah.
yeah, like, and so with all of that prefacing, I'm excited to say that like I think For My Mama is one of the 2 albums I would consider to be like perfect jazz rap records. The other one is To Pimp a Butterfly, so like that's the level we're talking about here.
It's pretty high.
Like every instrumental is just like so beautifully arranged and performed to like explore so many different scenes and styles of jazz, and all of them are done with like the same amount of care and emotion behind them. And I think like even without McKinley Dixon's rapping over them, the instrumentals would like stand on their own as great and evocative jazz music. But like of course we don't just get those instrumentals, and like wow, like Dixon really shows himself to be one of the most promising up and comers in the entire scene. Just like effortlessly writing these super complex rhythms and tones with like the type of mastery I doubt like some of the all-time
Is this a
greats could
debut
really pull
album?
off. Hmm?
Is this a debut album?
No, he's got a whole bunch of stuff that like no one has ever heard. Like it exists, but I haven't gone back and listened to it either. But like
Oh.
I mean like we're talking less than 20 ratings on Rate Your Music type thing.
Oh, wow.
Like
Okay, I mean, yeah, this one's got almost 2K, but his
yeah, his stuff
previous
before that.
albums got 32.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, no, like he's doing this over these like super complex rhythms with the type of mastery that like I doubt some of like the all-time greats could even pull off. Like just ever-changing flow and like vocal timbre keep you like constantly on your toes, and there's not a single dull moment really. And it honestly, the record is just like the full package, because like I haven't even talked about the lyrics, which alongside being like technically phenomenal when it comes to like super complicated but easy to follow rhyming schemes, they're also like wonderfully complete in their storytelling and the way that they paint like larger themes of family, age, and blackness that all tie beautifully in with one another. It's like a like especially the familiar theme is particularly strong, right from like the album cover and the title down to like the names of the songs. There's tracks about fear of disappointing your children and your parents, and guilt about bringing someone into a world like this. And especially like maybe the most powerful track for me is the track Mama's Home, the second to last track. And it's just like beautifully honest about what his art means to him, and what how he sees it as kind of carrying on his mother's legacy. It's just an amazing album. I think it really does make a strong case for itself as an all-time great record. I got it on vinyl recently. I think it's what's on the table now. Might not be. And yeah, it's phenomenal. I love it so much. So yeah.
Yeah, you can really tell it's like it was a very personal project too.
Yeah, and it pulls off everything. Like there's the track, first of all, the opening track is like an excellent opener. And then what was the track? Make a Poet Black. That's the one that has like, I don't know, I don't want to say what kind of region this is giving me the vibes of, because I'm not entirely sure, but it sounds very like ominous. And there's no percussion throughout the whole thing. Like it's just this plucked string instrument, and like what is like there's other like stuff that's bringing forth every new loop of it, but overall it's mostly just like his vocals, and he gets real aggressive over it, and it's really like exciting. And it's a big like adrenaline rush, and he's doing all of this with no percussion whatsoever. And he's like switching up his flows into like different time signatures and different tempos, and it's ridiculous because it's all just again over just this
Which
one
would already be hard, like even with percussion.
Well, yeah,
if it's
exactly.
not playing in a like a consistent time, but then
no, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it's yeah, this record is fantastic. And I think if I were to, obviously it's very soon for me to be talking about doing that, but like if I were ever to redo my list from this year, I probably would never do that. But it would probably be like top 10, top 5 range. Like, I think I put it at either 14 or 16. I think it was 14 before. And that was because, like, when I put that list out, I found the record, like, the day before my cutoff day of, like, I'm not listening to any more new records. So I didn't have time to let it really sit with me. But, like, I've been spinning it every day this week. Like,
I might have to revisit it then.
you better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all we've got, unless any of you have a secret record to spring on me here.
Secret record. Let's see what's on my turntable right now.
Oh, no. I think I figured out what's on my turntable as well.
I'm very distracted by the Ouya I can see on your shelf.
Oh my god.
That's cringe.
Okay, so I had a Kids See
Hell
Ghost,
yeah, banger.
and I've got the lo-fi Twilight Princess soundtrack.
Banger. Is your Kids See Ghosts on black, or is that on the pink vinyl?
I think it's just black.
Yeah, I just got
I'm-
black as well.
I'm a huge Kid Cudi fan, but I still have not
Yeah.
listened to that.
We'll listen to
You
it.
haven't.
Okay.
We'll listen to it.
It's one of Fantano's 10s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get on it.
It's real good. If we're talking about what's on the turntable right now, briefly, what's on my table right now is Tim Hecker, Harmonies in Ultraviolet.
Nice.
That is, it's an ambient record, and I don't have too much to say about it because I didn't
Yeah, Tim
think.
Hecker's like one of the big names for ambient too.
Yeah, no, like that record is phenomenal. Like it's his best record, I think, and one of the best ambient records. But what I want to.
I mean, he's no Brian Eno, but
What I have to say about it, though, is I got this thing on vinyl. There's no indication. I'd been spinning it at 33 RPM, but apparently it's a 45, and I didn't. I spun it like 4 times.
you just made it more ambient, is all.
Well, yeah,
You enhanced
exactly.
it.
There's no indication that it's supposed to be spun at a faster speed. So I listened to it like 4 times, and the only reason I realized that it was supposed to be at 45 was because I looked at it on Discogs and it said 45, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
I thought you were gonna say you looked at the the time, the length of the album. You're like, wait
Well,
a
I
second.
did. I had the
This is
thought a
much
couple.
longer.
Well, I had the thought 1 or 2 times that I was like, "Is this really only 50 minutes?" Like. Yeah.
Oh well, you've got a different experience of it then.
Still an excellent record. I've been doing this thing.
Someone's been third by Portishead at 33 on purpose. It's a 45.
That sounds fun, honestly.
It sounds pretty good, yeah.
What I've been doing, or I've started doing as of this week, and hopefully I'll keep doing it. I think I already told you this, Peter, but like at the beginning of every week, every Sunday night, I'm picking 5 records to be like my playlist for the week.
Yep.
And so those are the only records I'm allowed to spin, and I have to spin all of them. Because I find a lot of the time I'll buy a record, I'll spin it once, and then it goes on the shelf, and I never think about it again. Especially as I'm going on like, I think I have like 220 records at this point. So
I think you're catching up to me.
I might be.
Yep. What I like to do is when I have a guest over, I ask them to pick a record.
That's fun.
Sometimes they'll pick something they know. Often they'll pick it based on the cover.
Has that ever backfired?
Yes.
Is there a story here?
I had a first date once who came over and picked Young Prayer by Panda Bear, which is a song about his father dying in the hospital. It's an album about his father dying, yeah.
Beautiful. Great. How did that...
Yeah.
Was there a second date?
Yes. We played it for a little bit, and it was just kind of like not the vibe. And then I was like, you know what? We'll put something else on.
And then you made sure to tell her you made a bad choice. This was the wrong album. This is your fault.
Yes. I made her feel really bad about it, and then she just got like guilted into a second date. It worked out, you know.
Nice.
Nice.
Do we should, because next week we're not doing show and tell. What I'm gonna pull up the randomizer.
Yeah.
So
Or,
I put
or we could do the discography because the album's out next week.
well, but the see the discography was on top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll talk.
Gotcha.
But let me throw this up here. The album that is up here is random, but I'm gonna randomize it on screen. You guys can't see it, but I'm recording it so you can make sure I'm not
Screen
cheating.
share.
Well, fuck you.
Screen share.
God damn it. Let me. There you go. Just for you.
Thank you.
So this album I would like to do, but I didn't hit the button. So
I was getting Steve Wright and Steve Roach mixed up.
I do it sometimes as well.
Yeah.
All right, ready? Bum bum
Yeah.
bum 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 bum. Ooh, okay. Interesting.
I don't know that one.
So this one, the genre labels on it are new jazz and IDM.
Perfect. I'll
What is
take it.
IDM?
This is one of the earliest records I can.
Dance music.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is the most.
It's a stupid name. Yes.
It's a dumb name.
It's that's what Aphex Twin is labeled as.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is one of the earliest records I can remember hearing. So yeah.
1972.
There's
Oh, no,
no. It's from like 1990.
That's when Aben
98.
Tobin was born. Never mind.
98.
98. That's what I thought. I was like, there's no way.
Wait, were you even born in 98?
Me, no.
No.
No, it's
That's
one of
my
my
year
dad's
of
favorite
birth.
records. So,
Oh, I see.
the first track's title is Like Regular Chickens, and it samples Eraserhead. So,
Amazing.
Oh.
Okay,
Alright.
so next week I won't be talking about Animal Collective at all. I'm just going to be talking about David Lynch.
which
I'll
is
use
your two
I'll use
things.
that sample as a jumping off point.
Yeah. Those are your two things you're allowed to talk about. Your requisite three
I have,
mentions
to
of one.
connect, I have to connect every album to one of those things.
Exactly. All right. I will call it then.
That's a podcast.
That is a podcast. I don't know why I said I would call it because you're the one
Yeah,
who
come
called
on.
it.
Why it's got to call it?
Wyatt does have to call it.
That's a podcast.
That is.
See
a
y'all next
podcast.
week. Stay golden. Listen to music.
I hate music. I'm sorry. There's
don't,
nothing.
Don't listen to music. Watch music videos with the sound off.
Mm.
Same thing,
That could
pretty
be an
much.
interesting
Have you ever done
experiment.
that? I was gonna say like that seems like a fun
No.
idea.
Although I did watch the new Grimes music video. The
And
video
then
is a
you
lot
felt like
better than the song.
and then you felt like turning the audio off. Yeah, it sounds like
The song's not that good. The video is pretty good.
it sounds like she got signed to Monster Cat.
Yeah, it's just,
Yikes.
it's not the vibe.
It's not good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm calling
I
it.
gotta
Good.
fix it
See you around.
I thought we already
Um,
called it.
Well, I didn't hit stop record. I'm hitting stop
We
record
had, we
3.
had that little
I've been handed
little
dinner. I gotta
Grimes
go.
rant
All right, goodbye.
first.